Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and it is me again today. I'm hoping we'll get Neon back tomorrow or Tuesday. His voice is getting better, but he still sounds kind of bad. He feels okay, he just sounds terrible. But today we're going to talk about Star Wars and Gina Carano and Paul Tassi at Forbes. Paul Tassi has just been like obsessed about all the Star Wars stuff. He's almost always writing articles about the Acolyte. In fact, he's trying to make the Acolyte happen again. Just a couple days ago, Carrie-Anne Moss gives her thoughts on its cancellation. And basically what she said was, I've been asked that a lot. I've been shows all the time. They're canceled. It's kind of a bummer. And then you learn to not really be invested as a protection mechanism. And also the fact that her character is dead and won't come back for a second season. But he's already out there still trying to push for another season of The Acolyte and going on about, this thing that no one cares about because he cannot stand it. And while he's out there doing that because he thinks he's owning the chuds, he also has to go after Gina Carano. Because of course he does. Because he's conflating the two. And when he does it in an incorrect way, which we're going to talk about. So before we get into it, please like and subscribe. If you do, I will give you a woohoo. And we're going to talk about this. So, Paul's mad because Gina Carano is one step closer to forcing Disney to put her back into the Mandalorian. I don't think Gina Carano actually thinks they're going to re-put her back into the Mandalorian. I think it's a matter of, proving a point was about what this is about. And he's going to go on. He's so salty. He's so ass mad about it. So they're saying, you might have initially seen, it seemed like an out-of-reach lawsuit. The Elon Musk backed free speech case of Gina Carano versus Disney is not exactly going the way, and things keep breaking in the actress's favor. It may have initially seemed like a reach of a lawsuit. Now it actually didn't seem like a reach of a lawsuit. The Elon Musk backed free speech case of Gina Carano versus Disney is not exactly going away, nor should it. And things keep breaking in the actress's favor. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, dude. And then he's going, she was fired after a number of controversial social media comments, which ranged from anti-trans rhetoric to saying conservatives are being persecuted like the Jews in World War II. Except Paul. I guess Paul might want to get sued too. Except Paul, neither of those things happened. Not in the way you're doing it. Actually, I have receipts, Paul. Do you have receipts? I don't think so. So here are the receipts in regards to what she said about pronouns. People assumed that Cara Dune seemed trans to them, so as a result, they decided that was a representation, so the actress had to be too. And what happened was people were demanding that Gina Carano put pronouns in her bio. So here's what she said. Yes, Pedro and I spoke, and he helped me understand why people were putting them in their bios. I didn't know before, but I do now. I won't be putting them in my bio, but good for all of you who choose to. I stand against bullying, especially the most vulnerable, and freedom to choose 100%. That's what she said. I'm not going to put them in my bio, but good for you who choose to do it. I stand against bullying, so I stand with you, but I just don't feel comfortable putting in my bio. To which she got weeks, months of harassment. And these come from Data Racer. She's a transphobic piece of shit. Why are you transphobic? Because I didn't put pronouns in my bio. Meanwhile, as I've pointed out many times before, at the time of this and even now, several people working on the shows and different people from Lucasfilm also did not have pronouns in their bio, but they weren't forced to. All right? You're just homophobic trash, you dumb POS. Fuck off, you stupid piece of shit. Fuck you, you transphobic piece of shit. It seems like it's bots again, which we already knew. But my point is, did she say something that was transphobic? No, she did not. And if later she put the boop bop beep in her as her thing that you guys got pissed about, so what? That was after months of being harassed. Months and months and months of it. So Paul, anti-trans rhetoric, my ass, Paul. Just a quick little search would have proved that you were wrong. And she said that the conservatives are being persecuted. That's not what she said, Paul. She never said it was conservatives, Paul. She never said it. Here's what she said. Here's exactly what she said. Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is it any different from hating someone for their political views? There's no mention of conservatives in here. She's basically saying it's become very polarized. And the media, including people like Paul Tassi and Forbes, are trying to leverage people, against each other. And because they're leveraging people against each other, that it's causing, rifts that weren't there. Like you used to be, you could vote differently and it was okay. But now it's like, abhorrent if you say that you aren't going to vote a certain way. And also in her defense, several other actors, all male, by the way, who have very left-leaning sensibilities and have posted similar things or things involving the Holocaust were left alone and weren't fired. Other actresses have come out that aren't related to Disney, but have come out later and said similar things about the Holocaust, were not fired. In fact, Disney owns National Geographic, and they did an article talking about how the Holocaust happened and made similar comments like what she said. Again, and that was just like this year, and it's okay now. So no, Paul, she did not do anti-trans rhetoric, nor did she say conservatives are being persecuted like Jews, Paul. It's not that hard. But then you don't have a headline, do you? That's okay. I have a whole video on it because you're full of shit. All right? Here we go. And I actually brought the receipts. But the idea she presents is that Disney had no actual cause to fire her given the nature of her contract. Then she alleges sex discrimination as a reason for the firing, as her male co-stars were not scrutinized for their personal political beliefs. It actually happened, Paul. Look, let me find it here. Mark Ruffalo, who was Bruce Banner in the MCU. Just for the record, history is repeating itself. Wasn't fired. Mark Hamill posts stuff all the time. Pedro Pascal posted losers in 1865, losers in 1945 with a Confederate flag, a Nazi flag, losers in 2020 with a MAGA hat. Also not punished and removed. In fact, he was given a job in the MCU also. All right. Then you had Jack Black's Tenacious D bandmate going out there and making jokes about Trump's the Trump assassination attempt. None of them were punished. So I don't know, Paul. It sounds like, and they're all male. Sounds like maybe, you could argue that. And I love how you all argue sex discrimination, because remember, Paul Tassi and company also, the men don't like the Acolyte. Also, an article by Paul Tassi a couple years ago. Remember sexism? It's not real when they do it. Here we go. She-Hulk was apparently conceived correctly, predicting its own backlash by a familiar group of toxic fanboys. And he has written things like this in other articles. But yes, no one's being scrutinized because they're male. Or blamed. Yeah, no. Mm-hmm. Now the court has denied a motion to allow Disney to stall the case, having their previous motion for dismissal denied. They said Disney cannot have a stay proceedings. Basically, they said you didn't have enough clout to say that we're not going to go to trial. It's moving to trial with Discovery next year. Okay? So they're talking about how her statement about how she was triumphant in it, because she was. And they said she's seeking damages as a result of the situation, but most surprisingly is looking for an injunction that would allow her to return to her job. I don't think she actually believes they will do that. I think it's more about proving her innocence is what it's more about. That's the most absurd part. As Carano forcibly getting Disney to rehire result in what exactly? What are the rules for something like that? Could they hire her back and have her fall into a Sarlacc pit in the first few minutes of her appearance? Would she mandate the amount of screen time via an injunction, et cetera, et cetera? He goes on, but he's really salty about this. Legal is anyone's guess what actually happens here, but the courts are taking this seriously. Yeah, as they should, and it's going to trial within the year. It should be interesting if nothing else, but it would be something, if a miracle, if somehow we actually saw Cara Dune on screen again. Well, I do agree that it's unlikely to see Cara Dune on screen again, but right off the bat, immediately, anti-trans rhetoric, not true. Saying conservatives are being prosecuted by Jews was not what she said. She did not bring that up. Show me where she said that, because she did not. And then she's like, and they're talking about the sexual discrimination that he himself tries to argue. And sexual discrimination, but meanwhile, he's out here saying that, toxic man fanboys, man babies, that kind of stuff. He himself is saying the same kinds of things. Well, the comments to this are funny because it's exactly what I would hope for. You go down here. Correction, she's one step closer to a massive payday. She has no desire to work for Disney anymore. For I, for one, hope she makes as close to $1 billion as she can get. The claim is for $75,000. That's a jumping off point. That's not like what she's asking for. One extreme opinion gets you fired, and someone else's extreme opinion does not get them fired. That's the issue. Someone's like, well, her own opinions were very moderate. They're not extreme in any way. That she was fired for not having an extreme opinion is the wild part. Disney absolutely shot themselves in the foot. Their lawyers are very good at drawing out lawsuits against them, making it very expensive for the plaintiff and ultimately not worth the money. True. Disney does do this all the time. Easy to get the plaintiffs to settle in these cases. However, they have no experience and are not good at defending Disney's despicable actions. No, actually, they have lots of things that they use to try to defend. But now they have Elon Musk backing. Gina will not accept the settlement. This case will go to discovery, and that's exactly what we all want to see. All right, you see how disgusting and messed up they are. People aren't siding with Paul Tassi. And what's funny is Forbes, it's not because that's the opinion of Forbes, it's the opinion of Paul Tassi, because back when she got fired, this other writer had said the firing of Gina Carano is confusing and hypocritical, lacking in sound management. And they wrote an article speaking about, how it wasn't right. She is a conservative who is not shy about expressing her views, and the latest made a comment that compared conservatives being silenced and canceled today to Jews, which is not what she said, being targeted by the Holocaust. An exaggerated comparison, yes, but enough to fire her, doubtful. She's guilty of a bad comparison that other actors have made, but she never said conservative views. That's not what she said. She said, how is it any different from hating someone for their political views? She never said which side, because people hate each other over political views. It doesn't, if you're a Democrat, you hate a Republican. If you're a Republican, you hate a Democrat. I've gotten told that being a moderate is basically, the worst that could ever be. It doesn't matter wherever you stand, someone hates you for it. And it's divisive. And what's happening is we're unpersoning people based on political opinions or based on what we think their political opinions are. That is becoming, unpersoning is good, because then if you unperson them, it's okay to hurt them. And what she said was not wrong. But Paul was just so ass mad between her and then he's trying to do about, Carrie Ann Moss about the cancellation 2 days ago about the Acolyte that no one's talking about anymore because no one gives a shit. Give it up, Paul. Just let it go. It'll be okay. Let it go. I'm sure there's, some psychotherapy out there for you to help, but just let it go. All right, we're going to wrap this up. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.